You're having an amazing day, and I hope you stay tuned for this live stream presentation. We are going to show you the tweets between Senator Mitt Romney calling Tulsi Gabbard treasonous and Tulsi Gabbard defending herself, talking about what she is talking about when it comes to biolabs in Ukraine. This is a big debate going on in the country right now, a lot of censorship. Hopefully this goes well. I'm just going to read the tweets publicly. And also, I got a lot more for this live stream. We got Candace Owens. She made a comment about Russian lives matter and Russians, and it got retweeted by the Russian embassy in USA. So there's a lot of conversation going on around that. I'm going to talk about it. Also, this pastor right here, who's friends with Trump and is one of his advisors, called me a racist for defending Candace Owens and explaining what she meant. I guess that's what we do on the right wing now. We just call everybody a racist when they talk about race 1/10 as much as you do. We're going to talk about that story as well. Also, Pfizer CEO says it's about time for a fourth shot eventually in this country because of waning immunity. Of course, we knew this was coming. We'll chat about that for a little bit. And then also, I think this is important. The Reuters report, World Health Organization, the WHO says it advised Ukraine to destroy pathogens in health labs to prevent any potential spills into the population. It almost sounds as if it's a made-up conspiracy theory, but it's actually directly in Reuters, so we're going to read that. Yes, sir, we are live, and yes, ma'am, because not everybody's a sir here. Listen, we do not discriminate. We don't care if you're a gender bender or fender bender. We're going to have a great show today. Thank you for being here, and we are live, folks. Don't get upset with me. I support the current thing. I'm just like you. Relax. We're not going to think too much. What's going on, folks? Don't think too much today. Support the current thing. Throw whatever you need to throw in your bio, and let's begin. I hope that I haven't been too shadow banned on Facebook and YouTube recently for my excellent videos, but let's get into it real quick, folks. There's a big debate going on between Tulsi Gabbard and Mitt Romney about the Ukraine biolab. A lot of people in the media say it's some sort of conspiracy theory, and if you talk about it, you must be connected to Putin or you're a treasonous liar. I mean, they're throwing all these sort of things out. But I want to start before I show I have a 4-minute presentation of all of Tulsi's tweets and Senator Romney's tweets. I want to just show you a mainstream article that hit Reuters recently, so I'm not even sure why this is controversial. I guess it's because people are so brain dead and brainwashed that they just can't think anymore. But this is in Reuters. You can check it out for yourself. I'm going to play it real quick. You can see it says exclusive WHO says it advised Ukraine to destroy pathogens in health labs. WHO advised Ukraine to destroy pathogens in health labs to prevent any potential spills into the population. This is directly from Reuters, folks. You can't make this up. It says the World Health Organization advised Ukraine to destroy high-threat pathogens housed in the country's public health laboratories to prevent any potential spills that would spread disease among the population, they told Reuters. So that's what's going on. It's mainstream information that this stuff is there. I mean, unless the World Health Organization's lying, I'm not sure. You know, I'm not in Ukraine, so I can't speak on it. And before I play the Tulsi Gabbard clip, I just want to show you guys stuff that's happening to me real quick. This is for my Instagram page. So they monetize now on Instagram, and that's 3 of my videos. All 3 of them, if you look, they were all Russia reports. So I'm now being censored due to my Russia-Ukraine reporting, even though I did Wall Street Journal reporting, The Hill. I did very basic mainstream stuff. None of my videos were even that controversial. It was like mainstream news. I'm being hit on all fronts. I got suspended from TikTok recently for just telling the truth and being honest. I got demonetized from Instagram. I'm not going to get into my finances, but it's a pretty penny when they take that stuff away. And I just want to let you guys know, because usually I have like a couple thousand on a stream like this, 4,000 live on Facebook. I feel like I'm being attacked on all fronts, Facebook, YouTube, everything. You know, they're all coming after me at once. And it's all good. I'm just saying thank you guys for supporting. Thank you for sharing and watching, because they're going to make it harder and harder for me and anybody else to counter the narrative. They're going to use this Russia situation just like they used the COVID-19 narrative to do so. So be very cautious when you head full. Like, I see a lot of conservatives, they're like, oh my gosh, I really care. It's like, if you care so much, go fly over there. Okay, they want military members and they want supporters. I'm not saying I would do it. I'm just saying, you know, you're supporting these type of narratives that are getting United States journalists, United States citizens targeted, banned, censored, demonetized, and very soon after you fall for your next propaganda trick, you're going to look around and realize that nobody you like is around there because they're using these situations to systemically weed out anybody who questions big pharma, big government, big politics, big media. So really pay attention, folks. All right. If you got 4 minutes for me, let's go through the Tulsi Gabbard and Mitt Romney tweets that have gone super viral because Mitt Romney called her treasonous, and I'm going to play it for you right now. It's going to be about 4 minutes. Check it out. Mitt Romney tweeted, "Tulsi Gabbard is parroting false Russian propaganda. Her treasonous lies may well cost lives." She responded like this. "Mitt Romney, you have called me a treasonous liar for stating the fact that there are 25 plus US-funded biolabs in Ukraine, which if breached would release and spread deadly pathogens to the US/world, and therefore must be secured, in order to prevent new pandemics. Bizarrely, you claim that securing these labs or even calling for the securing of these labs is treasonous and will lead to a loss of life, when the exact opposite is obviously true. The spread of pathogens is what will cause the loss of life, not the prevention of such spread. Senator Romney, please provide evidence that what I said is untrue and treasonous. If you cannot, you should do the honorable thing, apologize, and resign from the Senate. Evidence of the existence of such biolabs, their vulnerability, and thus the need to take immediate action to secure them is beyond dispute. Number 1. State Department's Victoria Nuland acknowledged such labs containing dangerous pathogens exist in Ukraine in her testimony to the U.S. Senate March 8, 2022. Ukraine has biological research facilities, which in fact we are quite concerned that Russian troops may be seeking to gain control of. We are working with the Ukrainians on how they can prevent any of those research materials from falling into the hands of Russian forces should they approach. Number 2, Pentagon Fact Sheet, March 11, 2022, has numerous statements directly and indirectly confirming the existence of such biolabs. The United States, through BTRP, has invested approximately $200 million in Ukraine since 2005, supporting 46 Ukrainian laboratories, health facilities, and diagnostic sites. Number 3, CBS Face of the Nation, March 13, 2022. Correspondent Dave Martin said a Pentagon official told him they're concerned about the existence of such biolabs in Ukraine. The concern is that the Russians will seize one of these biomedical research facilities that Ukraine has, where they do research on deadly pathogens like botulism and anthrax, seize one of those facilities, weaponize the pathogen, and then blame it on Ukraine and the U.S., because the U.S. has been providing support for some of the research being done in those facilities. Number 4, in April 2020, in refuting Russia's accusation that U.S. is using biolabs in Ukraine to develop biological weapons, U.S. Embassy in Ukraine acknowledged there are U.S.-funded labs in Ukraine working with the pathogens for vaccine and other peaceful purposes. Number 5, CNN Fact Check, March 10, 2022. There are U.S.-funded biolabs in Ukraine. That much is true. Number 6, furthermore, according to the DoD, there are 2 biolabs in Ukraine that have been under Russian control for some time. Russia illegally took possession of the 2 Ukrainian-owned laboratories that BTRP upgraded in 2014 and continues to deny Ukrainian access to those facilities. So Senator Romney, you have a choice. Out of pride, continue to deny the truth or admit you are wrong, apologize, and resign. Aloha. And remember that without the truth, we can neither be safe nor free. That was a brilliant breakdown of showing proof of exactly what she said. And of course, the Romney types, they show no proof. They just call you names and false labels, and brainwashed people just agree with it. Speaking of brainwashed people, here's Randcast saying, I totally agree with Senator Romney. 2 questions. Why are you aligning yourself with the Trumpsters pro-Putin? And what benefits are you receiving from this collaboration? So notice she did a huge thread of showing exactly what she was talking about. And this is the type of NPC behavior. They're like, anyone who disagrees with us is a Russian bot. And by the way, this meme was actually made years ago. They've been pushing this type of propaganda for years. Anybody who likes Trump over Hillary is a Russian bot. Anybody who likes Bernie Sanders over Hillary is a Russian bot. Jimmy Dore is a Russian bot. Any left-winger who disagrees with us is a Russian bot. It's like these people don't care about logic, facts, common sense, just having your own beliefs. Tulsi laid it out. I mean, you don't have to agree with her, but can you diagnose and dissect what she said? Or is it just like, you're a Russian bot, and that's all I know, and that's all I will say, and they just keep parroting that on television, and the right wing and the left wing, people like Mitt Romney and Adam Kinzinger and everybody on the left wing like Don Lemon, if they say so, then I believe so. It's like, these people don't know what they're talking about. All right, so let's break it down. Of course, I'm honest, okay? I don't live in Ukraine. I've never been to Ukraine or Russia. I don't know what's going on there. All I know is what I'm hearing and what I'm learning. So I'm not going to pretend like I have all this insight. But Tulsi Gabbard really laid out, this is why I'm saying what I'm saying, right? And the opposition, they've done this. And this is why I'm suspicious for two reasons, okay, folks? In 2016, they called Bernie supporters Russian bots, even though 99.99% of Bernie supporters knew nothing about Russia. It had nothing to do with Russia. Then they called Trump supporters Russian bots. They've been priming this narrative for years now to basically say anybody who counters Hillary Clinton, anybody who counters the Democrats or Don Lemon or, the narrative that we tell you is Russian. So now that we actually have a conflict with Russia, they're not allowing people to have an opinion. It's basically like, this is what we're saying. This is the truth. You can't question the government. You can't question the media. And if you do, now you're really working with Russia. I know we told you that for 4 years falsely, but now so it's like the Tulsi types, I tend to believe her more, not because I trust everything she says, but she lays out a whole list. Like, here's an entire thread of why I'm saying what I'm saying. What does Mitt Romney say? You're a treasonous Russian coward. It's like there's no proof there. And once again, I have to show you this just to show. I mean, this is the World Health Organization just a few days ago saying that it advised Ukraine to destroy pathogens in health labs to prevent any potential spills. I believe this is what Tulsi Gabbard's talking about. She's not saying, oh, I'm treasonous, I'm such a bad person. She's saying, like, there are mainstream reports, like she said, CNN, Reuters, this is mainstream stuff that this might or does exist in Ukraine. And all we're saying is that it exists. And she's talking about it. And if you talk about it and you question their narrative, once again, they just call you a conspiracy theorist, right-wing bot, just like they did to Joe Rogan. They're like, Joe Rogan's talking about horse medication. I'm not telling people what medication to take. I'm not saying to go against their guidelines. I'm just saying this medication that they were calling horse medication is a human medication that won a Nobel Prize that's on the CDC website, like, I think over 40 times in the section under refugees. So if it's only for horses, why is it on the CDC human website? Because it's not just for horses. They're and if you want to demonize that medicine, I don't care, but just be honest. That's all we're asking is for honesty. But these people don't have it. All they know how to say is horse dewormer, Russian bot, conspiracy theorists. They don't think anything out. And I want to show you why I don't believe a single word that they say. I know a different thing with a lab that they covered up for over a year, and they've admitted that they helped cover up for over a year. So it seems almost like covering up labs is their thing. Let's take a look. Here's some mainstream articles. It's Financial Times. It says how Biden came around to the Wuhan lab leak theory. The belief that COVID escaped from a Chinese laboratory is no longer dismissed as a Trump provocation. BBC News, COVID origin, why the Wuhan lab leak theory is being taken seriously. There's more reports. Let's see. Politico. Facebook is no longer treating man-made COVID as a crackpot idea. If you remember, I had a video with 10 million views that's completely factual. If I was in a court of law, they would prove that, but they have no court. They just censor you. Even Trump's CDC director, the last CDC director, said that he believed that the lab leak theory was probably the most plausible, and he said that he got death threats from scientists for saying that he thought that the lab leak theory was true. This is the CDC director talking about the lab leak theory. But for over a year, they covered it up. Facebook, YouTube, Google, mainstream media, they acted as if it were some sort of Trump conspiracy theory. And they're doing the same thing with Russia now. I don't like Russia. I don't trust Putin. I'm not saying I hate Russians or anything. I like Russians. I like, Ukrainians. I like people of the world. I like people from China. Their government's a different story. I don't have to agree with a foreign government. But in general, they're trying to paint this picture as if you say these theories that we're trying to cover up, then you must be working with a foreign country. It wasn't true with the lab leak theory, which once again, I had a video 10 million views. I said nothing wrong. I literally showed clips and articles just like Tulsi did. And I said, listen, I'm not saying that the lab leak is true. I'm not saying it's fake. All I know is what I'm researching. And I'm just saying it's a possibility. Even Bill Gates, you could find a video of him talking years ago. He said, one of the biggest threats to humanity, I'm paraphrasing, this isn't exactly what he said, but he said was a biological terrorist threat. He said one of the biggest threats to humanity was biological terrorism. And here's the thing. If you're not allowed to report on biological terrorism, what you're doing is allowing biological terrorists to be open. Just do anything they want, right? If you can't report on it, then they can just do it free will and nobody can say anything. And here's the craziest thing about the Russian stuff. I got a lot more for you in this live stream. Okay, we're seriously at a conflict with Russia. We're seriously at a conflict with China. We're seriously at a conflict with different countries in this world, right? Iran, we have bad relationships with them, etc. Our southern border is wide open, folks. If Russia really hates us and China really hates us, like the media wants us to think that they do, even though we're selling, products back and forth with them, at least with China, and you still have Europe doing gas deals with Russia because they're relying on them, why wouldn't we secure our southern border? You got people from America, they're on Reddit too much. They're flying over to Ukraine to join the army, and they're like, oh, we need to secure the border of Ukraine. Sure. Why have we not secured the border of Mexico? We better hope that this is a fake war, because if this is a real war, every country on the planet that hates us, every terrorist organization on the planet that hates America, wide open. All they have to do is fake pretend that there's some refugee from Chile or Mexico, and I'm sure they'll be marched right in, given a Democratic lawyer, and probably given more money than I'm given for being a citizen. So we better hope this is some sort of fake conflict, because if it's a real one, nobody's more open for open season than the United States of America. Our country's an embarrassment. So this idea that like Joe Biden and Jen Psaki and Mitt Romney love us, then secure our border, because I think we're at a conflict with Russia. You're kicking things out of their country. They're kicking things out of our country. This is a big deal. Why is our southern border open? It makes absolutely no sense. You guys know that. Let's move on, because I have a lot to tell. Candace Owens went viral recently. She said, absolutely appalling the way Russians are being treated in America and abroad, that our leaders and government institutions are allowing for, and at times calling for, the discrimination following their global Black Lives Matter hysteria is quite telling. Russian lives matter. And it actually got retweeted by the Russian embassy in USA, so she's going viral because of that. She responded, she said, for those of you sitting on the edge of your seats, I stand by every word of my tweet pertaining to the treatment of Russian citizens abroad. Those calling for Russian students, opera singers, etc. to be banned are the same kind of scum that would have demanded the Japanese internment. I think it's a great point. I understand why it's going viral, but she said that, and she followed up with another tweet. I don't feel like reading it right now. I guess I will. I do not care, she says, if you're Russian, Chinese, or otherwise abroad. No citizen should face discrimination because of the actions of their government. None of our world leaders have clean hands. May I never be made to stand trial for the plenty of sins on the American government. I think it's a great tweet. So the reason that this tweet is going viral is because the Russian embassy retweeted it, right? I even saw Lee Camp. He was an American reporter from RT. He's a progressive Bernie type guy who I don't agree with on a lot. But I think it's sad that he lost his whole YouTube channel. So did Abby Martin. Me and Abby Martin disagree on a lot, especially, domestic politics. But even Abby Martin, I don't think she should have her YouTube channel deleted. So because she worked for RT, she had it deleted. And I saw that somebody from China responded to Lee Camp and said, yo, that's messed up. And I don't think China's a good country. I don't think that their hands are clean. But just because you agree with China, I disagree with the Chinese government on like 95% of their tweets. But I actually do agree with that tweet, right? So am I supposed to be guilty because the Chinese government agrees with me on something? You get what I'm saying? This is what they're trying to do to Candace Owens. It's like, well, Hitler drank water and you drink water, so you must be Hitler. Well, Putin likes hockey and you like hockey, so you must be Putin. These are the type of games that people are playing, but really what you have to do, whether it's Ilhan Omar, whether it's the Iranian government, whether it's your Trump, people need to take a step back and say, is it true or is it false? Is it right or is it wrong? Is it good or is it evil? And this is something people don't do anymore. And it happens on the left wing and the right wing. If Ilhan Omar says it, now all of a sudden they want to censor her and they can't have a conversation about Israel. If Putin says it, it must be a Putin puppet. If the embassy of Russia says something honest, then you must be a Russian bot. People are not thinking straight anymore. Once again, I disagree with the Chinese official. I forget his name, but he tweets all sorts of BS, anti-America BS. But he made a good point one time. Am I not supposed to be allowed to say that? Am I not supposed to be allowed to say, I don't like AOC, but I agree with her on that? So they're trying to persecute Candace Owens because the Russian embassy agreed with her that Russian lives matter. But you'll find in America that unfortunately, Russians are now being like kicked out of, I think it was Canada. There's a Russian opera singer, some young kid. Now he can't sing in Toronto because people are complaining. She's right. They're treating them like they did the Japanese in the 1900s. We're not over that. And now you have innocent Russian civilians that are, Canadian and American citizens being persecuted because of, what the actions that their government did. And that's super messed up. This is a precedent we haven't seen in decades. I want to show you somebody that was crying about that. His name is Pastor Dr. Darrell Scott. He was one of Trump's advisors to his, Black American agenda, and he's always crying about Candace Owens. This guy is like the Al Sharpton of the right wing. His whole life is about race, but he cries racist if you do 1/50th of what you do, or etc. So I just want to show you, he called me racist multiple times because I was defending Candace, and I said, you stop crying. You're like an emotional liberal. Let's watch real quick. This is Dr. Darrell Scott. He called me an emotional racist. He called me a racist twice today. And if you guys aren't familiar with Dr. Darrell Scott, I'll just show you. He's one of Trump's right-hand men when it comes to the Black American agenda. He's his advisor, and he's also part of the National Diversity Coalition for Trump. So this is the funny part, not just about Dr. Darrell Scott, who I blocked on Twitter because he's annoying, but all these people who are like black activists, right? Darrell Scott, his whole life, black activism, coalition, diversity. It's like, if I were black, I would still have my job. I would probably have the exact same amount of followers, maybe a little more, maybe a little less. I don't know, probably a little more, because I'm doing something outside of my race, right? I reach out and I'm speaking a message. He's the type of person, if he wasn't his race, and he wouldn't have a job. His whole job is being like the Al Sharpton of the right wing, which is fine. But the nerve of these type of people, their whole life is race, 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 race. I'm going to yell at Candace Owens because I don't think she's putting on for black people enough. If you do 1/50th of what they do for your own ethnicity, or 1/100th of what they do, they always call you a racist. It's like Colin Kaepernick's worst enemy is Colin Kaepernick in a white body, even though he's half white. He just pretends that he's not. It's like they hate themselves in another person. It's like, God forbid somebody white did what Pastor Darrell Scott does for his race. He would call them a neo-Nazi and a white supremacist. I barely even talk about race, not nearly as often as he does, but everything's a racist. If you like Candace Owens more than me, you're a racist. If you tweet for Russian, you're a Russian. He's such a loser. And this is a lot of these right-wing people. They just grift off of Trump. He makes horrible decisions with his advisors, like Dr. Darrell Scott, Mr. Al Sharpton of the right wing. But he called me racist twice. I don't really care. It doesn't bother me. I just want to show you guys, like, this is what happens if you're Candace or me. It's like, you say anything, these people who are just nonstop 24/7 race hustlers, they accuse you of being racist. It's like, God forbid I do 1/1000th of what you do, bro. Now all of a sudden he's crying. It's unbelievable. But, I don't really care. I just thought it was interesting. So that's the story of the day so much. I got a few other things, but I just want to play this clip again because they're acting as if this doesn't exist, or like Tulsi Gabbard's pushing Kremlin conspiracy theories. I mean, this was said in front of Congress, or the Senate rather, I think. I forget which one this was. Everybody heard it, so I don't know what they're trying to cover up, like the lab leak theory, but don't trust it.
Well, I only have a minute left. Let me ask you, does Ukraine have chemical or biological weapons?
Ukraine has biological research facilities.
Biological research facilities. She says that publicly, right? World Health Organization. World Health Organization advises Ukraine to destroy pathogens in health labs to prevent any potential spills to the population. This is mainstream Reuters. So when Tulsi or anybody, Tucker Carlson, whatever, Candace Owens, I don't even know who, if they say biolab in Ukraine or pathogens in Ukraine, the media just keeps doing the horse dewormer thing. They just keep repeating the lie, and just repeating the lie. Put it on television, repeat the lie, get Mitt Romney to say it, repeat the lie, get the fake Republicans to say it, repeat. And that's how brainwashing starts. It's like Tulsi can fully explain what she's talking about. I just showed you that two different people that have nothing to do with me are saying that this type of stuff exists. But if you say it, they just say, you're a Kremlin bot. You must be working for the Kremlin. It's like, this is so stupid. And it's so sad because as an American citizen, I want to believe that my media is more honest than Russian media, right? I'm not Russian. I don't support Russia. I'm American. But the people in America who love America get demonized. Like, Russian has national pride. They love Russia. Ukrainian seems to have national pride. They love Ukraine. In America, if you love America, you get demonized by the media, hated on by the media, called a racist, called a nationalist, a supremacist. I mean, they throw every sort of label at you if you simply just love your country the same way Russians love Russia, Ukrainians love Ukraine, Mexicans love Mexico. There's nothing wrong with loving your country, but in America, if you love your country, our own media hates us. The Russian regime is further away from communism than it was 20 or 30 years ago. We used to work with Joseph Stalin in America. There's a picture of Churchill, FDR, and Joseph Stalin. So when Stalin was in control of Russia and they were like really, really communist and really, really authoritarian, even more than now, we seem to have no problem with Russia. But now that they have Putin there, do I think Putin's a great person? No. I mean, he could just be another puppet for what I know. I don't care about, it's not like he's my best friend or anything. I don't really think much of Putin besides these last couple of weeks when I've had to research. And then I'm like watching interviews and he explains himself like Tulsi Gabbard. You watch an interview of Zelensky, he's like an actor because he is an actor. It's like everything's just this big drama skit. He doesn't explain himself. He doesn't prove context. He just cries. He's asking for a no-fly zone. He's calling out NATO and America. So it's like now that I'm starting to see this stuff, I wish my media was really good. But to me, it seems like our media and Western media is more communist than Russia is. And it seems to me like they're upset that Putin isn't Stalin. I don't support Putin or like Putin, but I think that what the Western media wants is a Joseph Stalin there. I don't think that they would replace Putin with someone better, just like they didn't replace Muammar Gaddafi with someone better. They screwed up Libya so bad that human slavery existed in Libya in the aftermath. Oh, we're going to go, free Africa by creating slavery, but nobody talked about that in the media. Google Libya slave trade. Time articles, Newsweek articles, mainstream stuff. Nobody talked about it. Do you know why? Because the media controls the minds of the masses, folks. They decide what's good, what's evil, what people talk about. They could have you running to a Justin Bieber concert or flying to Ukraine to join some sort of military with the Azov battalion, who they considered extremists. Did you know, I don't even have the reports here, but you can look them up for yourself, that Facebook for a while was banning content around the Azov battalion because they were considered white extremists. Some people call them neo-Nazis, white nationalists. I'm not going to call them any of that, but they were considered too extreme for Facebook. And Facebook recently re-rolled their rules back in order to allow promotion of the Azov battalion as long as it was in context of defending Ukraine. So Facebook and the Western press has so much problem with white extremists. Unless they're defending Ukraine, then they can brainwash liberals into supporting white extremists who are more extreme than the Republican Party and Donald Trump. This is how crazy of the manipulation is. They can make people do anything. They could probably make someone like poop in their hand, throw it against the wall and lick it up. I'm sorry, that's disgusting, but it's like, that's how much the media controls. And it's not always just liberals. There's a lot of conservatives I follow, especially a lot of women, because women tend to be nicer, have kinder hearts, and, very emotional. I'm not saying all women, because there's some men out there too, but the amount of conservative women I see falling knee deep in this propaganda because they heard some story of a woman and a child. I'm not saying to not have an open heart for Ukrainians and innocent people, but it's like, do you know what you're doing? Do you know what they're doing? So overall, I would love to think, because I don't trust Russians' press, the state press, I would like to think that our press is more honest and they would never cover up a lab thing. But here's the problem, folks. They already did this last year. I'm living in the twilight zone. They covered up the Wuhan lab leak theory for over a year. I got demonetized. I don't like to get into my finances, but I could guarantee you I lost tens of thousands of dollars of my salary that I would have had because I was talking about stuff like this in 2020. And now they're admitting Politico. It's no longer a crackpot idea. It never was a crackpot idea. They just censored it and covered it up. They are cover-up agents. They're all in on it. You can't say this. So after a year of them covering up a lab leak theory, and you have scientists threatening the CDC director for saying a lab leak theory is plausible, after a year of this type of stuff, how in the world am I supposed to sit here and say anybody who talks about a lab in Ukraine is a conspiracy theorist Russian when my own government, my own, big tech conglomerates, my own social media that I work on, my own, I guess you could call them coworkers, covered it up for a year and penalized me for being honest when they weren't willing to be. And then they admitted it late-wise. And it's not even hard to find information on Ukrainian biolabs. Like I said, it's in Reuters. It's in front of Congress and the Senate. It's like, it's everywhere. But it's the same thing as the horse dewormer thing. I have to say this again, folks, because I want to drive it home. When it comes to the horse dewormer medication they were talking about with Joe Rogan, I'm not telling people to take it. I'm not telling people it works for COVID. Why? I don't know that. I've never taken it myself. I'm not going to take it. I'm not a big medication guy personally, but talk to your local doctor, etc. But here's the deceptive part that they did with that. I'm not telling people to take it, but I am telling people it's on the CDC website under their refugee program. I believe over 40 times. I did a search. It was there 40 times. They said that word. They said that word. It's won a Nobel Prize. It's known use in humans. And they still, instead of being honest, the media could have said, hey, listen, Joe Rogan, we're not saying that it's not for humans, but you shouldn't take it for COVID. I would have actually semi-trusted the media if they said, hey, listen, the reason we don't want you to talk about this medication is because it's not for use in COVID-19. That would have been honest. Instead, they brainwashed tens of millions of people into thinking it's horse medication because horses also take it. It's like calling water horse water. Oh, Anomaly's on stream drinking horse liquid. Who would drink horse liquid? Oh, I ate a carrot in my salad. Anomaly has horse food in his salad. That's how dishonest these people are. So this idea that the Western press and our people have the moral high ground or the integrity high ground, it's just simply not true. It just simply isn't. And I want to show you again, folks, I'm not complaining, but I just want to show you what I deal with. So if you look at the top one, I was literally in the top one reporting on The Hill. The middle one, I believe I was reporting on the Wall Street Journal. The bottom one is completely and fully sourced. That's 3 policy violations on my Instagram. Once again, that's thousands of dollars that they are going to not allow me to make this month. I finally employed somebody. I have a merch guy as well. I'm not complaining. I'm fine. I'm going to make it. They can't stop me. I'm not going anywhere. I don't care if you take all my money. I'm sorry. I'm not going anywhere. I'll figure out a way to make money, okay? I'm a businessman. I'm an entrepreneur, so I'm not complaining, but I'm just letting you know, if you want to tell the truth, if you want to be accurate and you want to be factual, what it's doing, it's like swimming against the grain. And you guys know this. I don't have to tell you like I'm some sort of victim. You've experienced it all yourself, I'm sure, on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, or whatever. So if you're Don Lemon or you're Anderson Cooper or you're Mark Levin or one of these people that's on your side sometimes, but then they'll, go that direction, they just funnel money into your hands. I mean, Mark Levin probably has a little bit harder time because he's conservative, but you get what I'm saying. But it's like if you're willing to report against the narrative when it's the right thing to do and just tell both sides of the story, it's like swimming in an ocean that's, blowing 50 miles an hour in your face. It's like instead of having $1 million, contracts and people wanting to sign me because I have 1 billion views, it's like the opposite. They take away my money for 2 months. They demonetize me. They do all this sort of crazy stuff. Why do they do that? When you have less money, you have less resources. If you can't make enough money, you don't have enough time. They have millions and billions of dollars. Do you know why you saw COVID stuff everywhere? Oh, vaccine. Yeah, I mean, some people truly felt that it was the right thing to do, and there's nothing wrong with that. But, they had billion-dollar budgets. I mean, in the state of California, they have a budget to pay influencers. They're buying people off just like Big Pharma buys off politicians. So if they can cut my salary from this to this, and they can expand their salary by taking our money and stealing it via taxation and funneling it to Big Pharma, then they win over time. It's the same way that liberals win over time. They brainwash their kids in school. They take over television stations and nobody does anything. So once again, I'm not playing the victim. I'm just letting you know, every day I wake up, every day I wake hard. I'm putting in like 80-hour weeks. Every time I'm doing something, they always try to take stuff away from me, but I don't really care. I just want to show you one thing real quick. If you would like to support, this is the best way now. It's patreon.com/raretalk. So this month, I actually, for the first time, hired an employee and got help. This is the first time in my whole life I've had that. Since then, it's been 2 weeks. I've launched a podcast, Dream Rare Podcast. It's on the bottom. You can listen to that for free at any time. It's on Spotify, Apple. Just search Dream Rare Podcast or Dream Rare Podcast by Anomaly. Also on patreon.com/raretalk. It's not there yet, but the perk is going to be, if you sign up there, you're going to get a free podcast every month, a secret one, and eventually you're going to get a secret podcast every week or every other week. But right now I'm spread thin. I have a book to finish. I have a production company that wants to launch a tour with me. So I'm trying to do a speaking tour. I got like 50,000 things to do. I'm actually in a documentary. There's somebody that doesn't suck or doesn't seem to suck that I trust that I'm going to let film me for this cancel culture documentary. So I'm doing like 1,000 things. It's all good, but patreon.com/raretalk. That's the best way to support. The cheapest one, I'm going to make a $3 one just to be even cheaper, but right now it's $5 a month. You don't have to do it, but I do appreciate everybody who does because, I don't like to beg for stuff or ask for stuff, but it's like, it's very frustrating when, if I was some sort of TikToker and I'm just like, oh, Ukraine, or oh, Joe Biden's amazing, they would just be throwing money at me, multi-million-dollar deals, like, here you go, you can get monetized. But because I reported on Russia and Ukraine, I didn't even say anything that controversial. They're just trying to suck my money away and make it harder and harder for me to profit. So that's the goal, folks. People like, I just want to say this to the side. Tim Dillon's an inspiration. I mean, he's a comedian, but if you go to his Patreon, Tim Dillon, he makes $200,000 a month on Patreon just from people paying $5 and $10. He's a comedian. You know, I don't need that much. That's an insane amount of money, but it is inspiring to know that if you do have enough audience and people like what you do, that it is possible to reach those heights. That's crazy and, you know, unnecessary. But, you know, if I could even get a fraction of that, that would be life-changing. So patreon.com/raretalk. Thank you guys so much. That's what it is. And I have your comments right here. I'm going to hang out probably for about 10-15 minutes, answer some of your questions and comments. That's the show. I hope you enjoyed it. This new format I think is great. HD camera. I spend like 2 hours beforehand editing the videos and stuff. Some of the audio is built in, so I enjoy it. Thank you guys for the chats on YouTube. Let me see. Maurice, what is that? Mauricio, thank you. I'll try to scroll up and see any super chats I missed. Jake said, "You anomaly, has Tim Pool reached out to you for the show?" He has. I will be on Tim Pool's show at a certain point, not soon, but I'm going to do it when I have to go to the East Coast. So right now, I just don't feel like flying 12 hours back and forth. That's not Tim's fault. He did invite me. I appreciate him. And I will be on eventually. That'll be a big look for me for sure. And hopefully, you know, there's some other things coming on too. But for now, Dream Rare Podcast. Someone said I look great. Thank you, Amaricus. I don't know how to pronounce your name, but I'll take the compliments. Let's see. Someone said, go make your money, Anomaly. Hey, life is good. I've been blessed. It's not about that, but it is like as you get older, you know, not just inflation, but it's like, you know, I don't have like a boss giving me healthcare, this and that, so I'm taking care of myself. It's all good. I've done better in the last 2 years than I've ever done in my whole life. I'm blessed. I'm fortunate. I've saved up a lot of money. I've invested a lot. So I'm not in the position to be bullied right now. I'm just being honest with you. If they took everything from me, if they took all of my salary for the next year, I still wouldn't slow down. That's how dedicated I am to my craft. So, you know, they could literally, and I hope they don't, but I'm just saying, if they sucked all of my money away and said, you are going to make $0 for the next year, I would still do this for free and I would work just as hard. I can't stop. I don't know how, I don't have an off button. I actually need to sleep more. So, you know, it's nice to have money. It's definitely nice to profit off this stuff, but you know, I'm not going to let them bully me. That's what they want to do. If they took away everything that I had, I would want to work that much harder because the information, you know, if we lose, like when Donald Trump got kicked off Twitter, it's like, even though you don't have to agree with everything he says, he's a safe point because he's the president, right? They banned the president. Now what? They ban Alex Jones. They're trying to ban Joe Rogan. It's like they keep weeding down the pyramid and eventually they get to you. And that's what they did in 2020. I mean, I can't sit here and act like I'm some sort of victim because they hurt firefighters, nurses, doctors, police officers, you know, every profession. You know, military members, people that have put their lives on the line for other people, you know, they treated everybody like garbage in 2020 and 2021. So now this cancel culture thing, you know, in 2018, if I said, hey, I got banned on Instagram, I would make a lot of money overnight. I'm just being honest because it's like, oh my God, I love Anomaly. I appreciate him. You know, I don't want this to go away. But now, because everybody's getting canceled, this is how quick authoritarianism sets in. And I'm not playing the victim. I'm just saying it's true. If I say I got canceled, you know, nobody really cares anymore about Instagram and stuff because everybody's got canceled on Instagram. You know, why should people care about me more than themselves when you got a million nurses who get kicked out of a hospital for not getting a vaccine? So now when I say, oh my God, I got canceled, it doesn't hit as hard. And I'm not saying it shouldn't because cancel culture has reached the people. This is what they do. They go for Alex Jones, they go for Trump, they go for this person, they go for that person, they go for Tucker, and then they come for you. And they already have in 2020. So this idea of where could this possibly lead with all the Russian canceling, it's easy to see where it's leading. As soon as they take off Russia on Facebook, they demonetized me on Instagram, which is owned by Facebook, and there's nobody to talk to. I have 1.7 million followers on Facebook. I have a billion views, a billion views. Do you know how much money I made for Facebook? And what happens? I don't even get a phone call. I don't get an email. They don't give a crap. But it's not just me. It's the whole country. This is what cancel culture is. It's authoritarianism disguised as social justice. We're so nice. No, they're really evil. And I want to say, pick a leader in history that you think is evil. I don't care if it's Stalin, Hitler, Mao. Pick somebody, right? Pick any leader that Napoleon, I don't give a crap. Genghis Khan, whatever. Pick somebody that you're like, oh my God, they were really evil. They were the worst person. They killed millions of people. They don't tell you that they're killing millions of people. Like Stalin wasn't like, I'm a piece of garbage, I'm going to kill everybody and starve everybody. Like that's not how it happens. They tell you that they're helping you. I'm helping the working class. We're sticking it to the billionaires. We're getting clean energy. They can't just tell you that they're hurting people. It doesn't work that way. Do you think Mitt Romney stands on stage and says, I'm a piece of garbage liar and my whole family's compromised? And I'm not saying they are, but it's like, look into, he's accusing Tulsi Gabbard of being treasonous. Like what type of money is he raising? What type of lobbyist is he being paid off by? I don't know, but look into it. They're not going to tell you what they're doing. They always have to disguise their wicked agenda of starvation and poverty and selling the country out behind either social justice or accusing people of what they're doing. And that's the same thing that Pastor Darrell Scott did to me. I don't care that his whole life is about race, but if I was black or I was Asian or I was, a woman or whatever, my following would either be the same or more, because people don't come to me for race ideas. Yeah, I talk about race sometimes. I'm not afraid to touch on it, but it's like people like the content, and my content's so good, it wouldn't matter how tall I was, how small I was, what color I was, I would still exist in this sphere and I would still be doing well. Darrell Scott's whole life is about black activism, black this, black that. If he wasn't black, he'd have no job. So it's like these people come at you and say, you're a racist, you're a racist. Bro, your whole life is about race. 95% of my streams, I don't even talk about race, I do, I'm not afraid to. I'm just saying, it's like, I'm not a coward, but it's like, what if I was white and I did what you did for your people, Darrell Scott? You'd call me a supremacist. I do nothing of that, and you still call me a racist. It's like I'm 1/100th as race-based as you. This is what they do, right wing or left wing. The people who obsess over race, they call you a racist. The people who are corrupt call you corrupt. The people who sell out to foreign countries say you're selling out to a foreign country. The people who are hurting people say that they're helping people. It's the same story over and over and over again. But, smart people are not falling for it anymore. And the cream is rising to the top, and they can deceive a lot of people who are, unstable or emotional. But, the real ones get it. That amount of people who get it's growing, and the grift is not really working as much as it used to. And I have to say this too. When it comes to race, the left and people like Darrell Scott on the right, they cry racism whenever you talk about race, right? It's like you're not allowed to even mention it unless you're saying what they're saying. Basically, what they're telling you is if you don't agree with me, you're a racist, which is the most cowardly thing to do. It's like throwing this heavy accusation on someone for disagreeing with them. But it's like, why wouldn't you be allowed to talk about race when you think the left doesn't think about race? Their whole life is race. I mean, come on, folks. They hire based on race. There's not enough black people in a film about the 1700s when it was mostly white, so it wouldn't even make sense. It's like everything they do is about race. Everything they think is about race. Everything they talk is about race. So if you're going to have a conversation with them and you talk about race, they're like, oh my God. It's like, how could you not talk about race in a conversation with you? All you think about is race. You don't look at people like individuals or, content of character. You're like, how can we go into this company and replace this race with this race? That's what they think, and in America, now that Russians are being targeted, like random Russians, and Candace is talking about it, it's just true. I mean, in America, the only races that are discriminated against and kicked out of their jobs or schools for being that color is usually white people and Asians. That's just true. If you're Asian, unfortunately or fortunately, your demographic does extraordinarily well in school. Why? You could say high IQ, but I would say probably family structure and heavy family pressure, in the Asian community on average. So they do extraordinarily well. And now Asians are being punished and targeted in America for doing well, for having good families, for working their ass off. And I think that that's racist, if anything, but nobody talks about that. And same with white people. The entire country, the entire media has this agenda that you can't exist. You're not good at your job. You need to be replaced based on the content of your, or the skin color that you have instead of the content of your character. So this Russian demonization is not surprising. They're going to do it to everybody who's white. and it's not going to go well. And the second that you notice that they're doing it and you say, hey, I don't think that this is fair, whether you're Candace Owens or you're white, they're going to call you a racist. This is just what they do. And they're going to keep beating down on people, and it's going to get ugly until people defend themselves and peacefully and respectfully say, stop doing this. What's it called if you have a diversity trainer come into a work and look at your work and say, there needs to be less of this race and more of this race? They're the real racists. They're the people who discriminate based on race, and it's going to keep happening in this country. And I'm not shocked that any country that rejects that is going to be targeted. Just like any country who rejects big pharma and lockdowns, they're going to be targeted. And I guess the irony of the whole situation is when it comes to races and racist people, I mean, Ukraine is filled with them. And I'm not saying that they're all racist or anything, but the Azov battalion, which is supported by the West, they were banned on Facebook from posting and people talking about them. And now Facebook rescinded their extremist content rules to allow people in America to support a racist extremist group that they considered 2 weeks ago too extreme to talk about. Now you're allowed to support them so they can convince left-wing people to get mad at Donald Trump, who's supporting like black opportunity zones, and to support a group in Ukraine that they've never even heard of that have a way more, supremacist ideology than any of the people on television like Tucker Carlson. It's seriously upside down world. You could probably get left-wingers to support the Ku Klux Klan in another country. I'm not even being sarcastic. It's like, if you can convince them that the Ku Klux Klan is fighting Vladimir Putin or the Ku Klux Klan is fighting Donald Trump, they would probably support the Ukrainian version of it if they haven't already. I'm not saying that's an equivalent, but it's like, this is how brainwashed these people are. They don't think for themselves. It's wild. It's very wild stuff. All right, I'll read some comments. Thank you for the stars. Let me see if I can find some of the superstars. Unfortunately, I don't know how to. On this, I could read some. Grace said, we need governments around the world to stop manipulation. Well, here's our way, all right? Let's think solutions. Once enough people work and do their own thing, it becomes harder to manipulate people. So we have leverage. A lot of people are now figuring it out. And, that's why I think it's great. Like, there's a lot of people that I watch that'll say, oh, wait, hold on. I just started my Kanye video by mistake. That will say, you inspired me to make videos, etc., and this and that. And that's great. The more people we have speaking the truth, being honest, doing their thing, not bowing down to the narrative, the better. I want to use this example, and then I'm going to take off because I want to keep this live stream short so people watch it and share it. If you think about the forced mandate, right? For years, people are like, well, I need my job. I need this, and after everybody ran, I know millions of people got the shot, not because they wanted to, but because they were bullied by their corporation. What happened? They are now saying on certain airlines that if you're unvaccinated, you can come back to work. This is happening all across the country. All these crazy strict rules, they're rescinding. Kyrie Irving's starting to play again in certain areas, etc. So it's like the people who got it, not if you wanted to get it, that's fine. I mean, do what you want to do. But if you didn't want to get it and you got bullied into it, I'm guessing a lot of people feel a certain way. They're like, dang, I got this because I thought the only way that I could keep my job was by getting the vaccine. And now millions of people are returning to the workforce unvaccinated. How does it make you feel? I think it makes people feel like, maybe I should have stood with my values. And, I'm not trying to get too religious or promise people the world. If you need money, go get your money, support yourself. I won't judge you. But, I think God works in mysterious ways. I watched somebody leave a business because they were forced vaccinated. As soon as they left, they offered them the job back. It's a lot of it is smoke and mirrors. So the second you stand up for yourself, sometimes they offer you more money than you made. You say you're leaving and they're like, oh, we didn't really mean it. They're testing you. So I know a lot of people who left, found a new job, left, found a better job, left, got a raise, left, the whole company imploded on itself because they're run by a bunch of psychos who have no backbone. And I know for myself, I can't speak for others. The harder I work, the more I stood up for myself. I'm grateful. I wouldn't want to be a rapper who just raps about degenerate stuff like I used to and just like has no backbone. Like I see some of my peers, they're like, I'm doing a vaccinated show. I would hate to be that person. I'm like, you're doing these dinky small shows anyway that barely anybody goes to. And then you're doing vaccine only shows. I mean, what a bigger sellout could you possibly be? It's like, at least if you're going to sell out and make money. Don't sell out for a 20-person show. So it's like, I look at where I am and I thank God all the time where it's like, I follow my heart, I follow my soul, I follow my passion, and if I didn't, I would be somewhere I hated. I would be stuck in a situation not being myself, and now I've almost protected myself because I've said everything I think I've said publicly. So if anything comes out, oh my God, Anomaly thinks this. Yeah, I've said it publicly on live streams 100 times. So everybody knows what I think. I'm not afraid to talk about race. I'm not afraid to talk about religion. I'm not afraid to talk about foreign and domestic lobbying. So it's like, you can't really, what are you going to say? Yeah, I've said that a bunch of times and I mean it. And people from every ethnicity, religion, race, they get what I'm saying because it's honest, it's real, it's raw. So, you follow your heart, you follow your soul. Sometimes God helps you out. I'm seeing that happen with the forced vaccination. The millions of people who, opted out of it and said no, they're starting to get their jobs back, their life. And now it's like nobody's really enforcing it that much in America like they were. So God is great. Hope you like this stream. And if you like it, share it. I'm going to end it so people actually watch it and share it. Thank you so much for watching. Have a beautiful day, and I'll be back with more live streams. Patreon.com/RareTalk, the best way to support. If you don't want to, it's all good, but I do appreciate it because I'm looking to expand, do more work, and I just can't do that with all of the situations going on now. But I'm good. No worries. Have a good day. I'll be back soon.